Hi everyone, this is Sue Reynolds with the Student Achievement Institute, and we are about to begin our final webinar for schools participating in redesigning school counseling. So before we go on, I just want to check the technology. So I'm going to unmute Natalie Hornsby. Natalie, can you hear me okay? And I'm trying to remember, I think maybe Natalie does not have a microphone on her computer, but she is telling me that she can hear me, and I'm assuming, Natalie, can you see the screen with the title year-end tasks on it? And she says, sure can. Terrific. Okay. So thank you, Natalie, for giving us that feedback. So this is our final webinar, and we're really looking at just some odds and ends that need to be done to finish up either your first year Gold Star on RSC process or the renewal process. So I'm just going to go straight to the online system, and there we go. Let me come down to there. Okay, so we've been working all year in the Foundations tab. So we did step one, we got organized, we built your council, we collected data, we had a series of discussions with your council, we looked at benefits and developed a vision statement and goals, root causes, activities, and then we did a lot of crosswalks. That's what you did last with the activities, to just make sure that all the activities were doing what you want them to do in terms of helping you to meet your goals or meeting the requirements for the Gold Star Award or other expectations that folks may have of you. So you did all your crosswalks, and now we have all of the foundations in place. So we've got your council roster, vision statement, priority goals, focus goals, activities. We've got an annual calendar that auto-generated after you entered activities. And then we also have a master plan, which also auto-generated after you put in your activities. So the last thing that you did last month was you made the decision about whether or not you wanted to publish your foundations to a public website. If so, you got a URL that you could use to share with your public, your school board or your parents or your community, to let them look at all of these products that were developed. Okay, so we have finished all the foundations. The next thing we're going to talk about then is the preparation for implementing everything, and then also looking at some odds and ends tasks that we need to do to meet all of the Aska, RAMP, and Indiana Gold Star requirements. So we're going to switch tabs now. We're going to go to a different tab, the Counselor tab. So I'll click on that, and here is just the final things to do. You'll see that the due date for all of these is February 15th. That is our drop dead date for being finished with everything. That gives our staff a few days to review all of your work. If you need to make revisions, it'll give you a day or so to make a revision at the end. And then finally, we'll let the Indiana Department of Education know that you've met all the requirements for Gold Star. So, okay, so the first thing we're looking at is preparation. And one of the things I wanted to just bring to your attention is there's an optional tool here where you can develop a Gantt chart. This is actually, I just wanted to point out this tool to you because if you're ever applying for a grant somewhere, or you want to show folks how you're progressing through the big steps of your program, this is a great tool to use. I use this all the time when I'm applying for grants. So what this does is I've already added a couple of things in here. So when you add an item, let's say that you're putting in, let's say you're putting in here, I'm trying to think of something that you would do every week. So maybe crisis counseling. I think I already have that one in there. Let's say enroll new students. Okay, that's a non-program task, but it's something that we're doing every day, or not every day, but all the time. So I'm just going to check that this is something that happens all year, and then I'm going to save. I'm going to put in one more. Let's say that we're doing some group counseling for students who are habitually absent. And let's say I'm going to do that group counseling. That's going to happen October, November, December. I'm going to just save. So we're taking our big steps. Then when I go back to the process page, I'll be able to open that report. And notice now we've given you a tool where you can go back directly to the tab that you were just on. So if I hit this process tab, that's going to take me to the foundations tab, but I want to go back to the counselor tab where I just was. So I'm going to click most recent tab, and that takes me back to the counselor tab. And now I can open up this report, and you can see that this Gantt report has indicated the tasks that I'm going to do, and then in what months those tasks are going to happen. So again, as you go to implement the activities that you've planned for next year, if you're applying for grants, or if you just want kind of a nice, Gantt chart to share with your school board or your principal, this is just a real easy tool that creates a Gantt chart for you. Okay, I'm going to go back to where it was. So, and this is optional. It's not something you have to do. It's just a tool that we created to help you with grant writing. Okay, then the next thing is a requirement for Gold Star and for Aska Ramp, and that is to either submit a budget, or if you don't have a budget, to submit some evidence that you've requested funding. So if I have a budget, a formal budget, I'm just going to go here to the Enter column, and we give you, again, an easy tool to create a budget. This is another thing that when I'm writing grants, I use this all the time because it just is a really easy tool to create a budget. It prints it out, and I just include it in my grant app. So I'm going to create another budget item. Let's say that I'm going to bring in a speaker that I'm having on some topic. So I've got speaker. The line item then, this is going to be where is it, a contractual that I'm giving this speaker a stipend. In my budget notes, I'm going to say that this is a 1-hour talk, and then I'm paying the speaker $400. I'm putting the amount in here as $400, and you can see that's totaling the amounts here. And then I'm just going to keep adding my budget items. In budget notes, I can write how I came up with the amount that I put on that line. And then I'm clicking Save. And notice here too that I can change years, that I could create a budget for next year or the year after. Yeah, so I can create a 1-year budget or a 2-year budget. There's lots of options here. Okay, so I hit Save, and now I'm going to go back to the Counselor tab. And if I open up this report, you'll see that here's my budget, and it's got the budget notes in there. Everything's been sorted by my line items. So it's just, again, it's just really easy. If you get this and you think, oh, the total is 700 and I only have 500 that I'm applying for this grant for, you can just go back and edit it and change it. So it's a really nice tool to use in grant writing. Okay, now for your program, if you do have a formal budget from your administration, this would give you a way to describe what you use that funding for. If you don't have a budget, then we are using this uploader tool, and there you're just going to upload something that proves that you asked somebody for funding. So that could be an email that you sent to your principal that says, I'm requesting, X number of dollars for next school year to support our program, and I'll be using it on these things. So for those of you who don't have a budget, you're just in the habit of asking your principal for money when you need it, you're just giving some evidence that you've done that. So, okay. So the next item is where we're entering lesson plans. If you are renewing, the lesson plans that you already put in here will still be here, and if these are still good lesson plans for you, you can just keep them the way they are. One thing that you might notice if you're renewing, there used to be a requirement for a gap lesson plan, but we've saved some time for you by instead of putting that in, instead of having you demonstrate your gap through a lesson plan, we actually did that, as you know, last month in your activities. So there are 10 required lesson plans, 3 academic, 3 career, 3 social emotional, and 1 group counseling. So I'm going to go to the enter icon, and here you see there's 2 ways for you to enter a lesson plan. One way is that you can import a lesson plan from another school. So if I'm going to do that, let's say I'm going to want to have a lesson plan on a career interest inventory. I can click on this tool. I can see what have other schools done on career interest inventory, and I can hit search. And I see that in ASA's database, we have 9 lesson plans that are involving a career interest inventory. And then I can kind of scroll down to see, are there any other schools that have read this and like it and are, have included it in their plans and have imported it. So I see on this one from Oak Hill Elementary, there are 2 schools that imported it. From this one from Demo High School, which is actually our school, DSA school, there's 25 schools that imported that one. And here's another one from another high school, Mississinawa, where Debbie Daly has put in a lesson plan and 7 schools imported that. So in order to, if you find a lesson plan that you like, you can read the full lesson plan, you can view the whole report for that lesson plan. And then if you like it and you want to import it, just click the Import into My Schools lesson plans. That will bring everything that Debbie Daly at Mississinawa, everything that she wrote will get imported into a lesson plan for you. And at the very bottom, there will be a citation that acknowledges that the original lesson plan was developed by Debbie. You can edit that lesson plan. So if you find one that you like but it's not worded exactly like you want it, you can just go in and use what Debbie wrote, but then edit it so it meets your school's needs. Okay, so that is one way to get a lesson plan in. And then the other way is to tell the system that you want to create your own lesson plan. So I'm going to create a lesson plan, and you'd put the title of the lesson in here, study skills lesson. Then check off what grade level it is, who the targeted students are. So maybe this is a lesson that you're going to do with all students, but it's really targeted to your boys because your research has shown that they have more of an issue with study skills than your girls do. So you can change the group here if you'd like. The setting, one thing we wanted to point out is that you can click classroom guidance, individual guidance, group counseling. Notice that when you check group counseling, you get some additional questions. These are things that Aska wants to know about your group counseling. So that pulls up some additional questions, or this could be individual counseling. So if you are renewing, you'll need to go back to your lessons that are group counseling lessons and make sure you answer these questions. We're doing this a little differently this year to save you some time, and basically we're making sure that you don't miss these things because a lot of schools in the past have missed them. So they're now, you can see they're required components that the system will not let you go on until you've entered those things. Just kind of a protection for you so you don't have to go back and keep revising. Okay, so, and then Yeah, I think everything else is pretty much the same as what it's been before. So you're just entering the lesson plan type, it's the academic, career, social, emotional, or none of these. A summary of the lesson, how much time it takes. On the procedure, I'd really suggest that you make this a very step-by-step procedure, just like if you were writing a cookie recipe. It's step 1, do this, step 2, do this. And it should be written so that someone who is not familiar with this lesson at all, maybe someone in another school, could open up this lesson and know exactly what to do. How are you going to evaluate the lesson? That goes in that box. Any resources you need, so you can put in a resource here and then give us a website where that resource can be found. Or you can upload a file. So you may have like a Word doc or a PowerPoint presentation that you want to share with counselors that go with this lesson. You could just upload that file. If you're, make sure that if you've read our information about when a citation is necessary, and if you need some help in generating a citation, there's a link here to a website that will help you do that. If you need a partner to put on your lesson, like you're doing job interviewing and you're going to partner with your local chamber of commerce, you'd want to acknowledge that a partner was required for this lesson. And then finally, any other information that would be helpful to counselors. Okay, after you've saved everything and all the required fields are filled in, then this second part of the lesson plan will become active. And basically, the computer's asking you, is your lesson plan complete? Yes. This next question, you're giving us permission to make your lesson plan available to people that are searching our lesson plan database. So I think most counselors say yes to that because, we're also eager to help other counselors with their students. But if you would prefer that we not share your lesson, just leave that blank. And then in addition to your name and school, if we are sharing your lesson plan, is there other contact information that would be okay for us to share, like your email address and your school phone? So that way, if a counselor had a question about your lesson, they could send you an email to ask you or give you a phone call and ask you. Okay, so that's how to put in a lesson plan. So we need 10 of those, and there will be 3 career, 3 academic, 3 social personal, and then the 1 group counseling. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, I'm back on the counselor tab. That was lesson plans. So that completed the preparation section. So now let's go to professional development. These are Aska and DOE Gold Star requirements for Indiana. So basically, you need to upload something that would prove that you're participating in professional development. So one thing that you could upload is a copy of the reminder email that you got about this webinar. And so, you could upload that or anything that we've put out about RSC that would prove that you're participating in RSC, just upload it. Or if you've been to a professional conference and you've got a copy of their program, you could upload that, just something. Okay, the next one is professional association membership evidence. So this could be a copy of a membership card. It could be ISCA or Aska or IACAC or NACAC, just a professional association that a counselor would join. So it could be a membership card. It could also be like a lot of counselors will use, they'll make a copy of the front page of the school counselor magazine that shows their mailing label on it. So it's obvious that they're getting that magazine because they're a member of Aska. So yeah, so just anything that you have that would show that you're a member, that one of your counselors in your school is a member of a professional association. Okay, that's professional development. The next section is program advocacy. So in this section, we're entering, I'm going to click here, we're entering narratives to questions that Aska would like to know the answers to. Some of this is a little repetitive. We've talked to Aska and explained that we feel the answers to a lot of these questions are found in your minutes, your council minutes, but they just wanted to be able to have it in one place where they could look at it. So, and they wanted to know, actually, we're verifying, or DOE is verifying, so to Aska that you've met the ramp requirements. So Aska will not actually read these things, but they just want to make sure that you've responded to them. So on some of these, like I'm just going to open up the counseling services, and oops, I'm in demo school and we've got Latin in there for their response as we were testing. But when you open up these, there will be a text box, and then there will be the question. Please describe the counseling services provided by your school counseling program. I would not write volumes on this. You could do something as simple as we provide the following services, and then bullet out using an asterisk to make your bullet. Bullet out, we provide group counseling, individual crisis counseling, individual brief counseling, just the types of counseling that you provide. On some, and again, I would not spend a lot of time in this. If you have more than one counselor in your building, you could divvy these up. It's just a matter of kind of making sure that you've answered them. On some of them, we have answered the question for you if we felt like we knew the answer. Like for vision statement, when I open that one, when you open that one, you're going to find that there's an answer in there. So you can keep our answer. I would definitely skim it, make sure it's true for you. You can edit it if it needs to be adjusted a little bit to really describe how you came up with your vision statement. Or you can just take it out totally and write your own. So we were just trying to save you some time. So anything that was process-based, we wrote how we think the process was that you used in your school. Okay, and there's one other question I wanted to share on the evaluation reflection. How does your school's comprehensive school counseling program use leadership, advocacy, and collaboration to create systemic change to make a difference for students? Include examples. Your response must be 500 to 1,500 words. And then again, we put in some text for you so that you didn't have to write that, describing how you involved leadership and how this helped you advocate for your program, the collaboration that you did. So basically, we described who was involved, and then we described each of the discussions that you had with those folks, and kind of how you brought data into the picture. So, okay. So again, skim that, but I think most of you who have used our process will find that that kind of works for you. Okay, so that's the narrative in the program advocacy. I'm going to go down to the next one. Job description. My guess is that most of you already have a job description. It's just a matter of uploading it. If you are a renewal school, on all of this, the information will already be there from what you entered before when you did this. So it's just going to be a matter of tweaking it. If the job description hasn't changed, just leave it as it is. If it has changed, upload a new one. If you don't have a job description, we've written a sample job description for you, and you can download that here, and you can use it as is. You can tweak it. You know, we just tried to do some of the work ahead of time so you weren't starting with a blank page. Then the next three parts are the individual counseling management agreements. This is a requirement for Aska, the Aska Ramp Award. And you'll see if you are a renewing school, this is appearing differently than it did the last time you did this. We've separated Aska's form into three parts. This is going to make it a lot easier for you if you have more than one counselor in your building. So the first part, I'm just going to click on the enter column here. The first part, it used to be that every single counselor had to put this on their form. This year, we're just having you fill this out once for all counselors. So it's just the school demographics, the breakdown of your students, how you collaborate, and what the responsibilities of the people that you collaborate with are, the school counselor availability, when your office hours are, the roles and responsibilities of other people in your program. So instead of having every counselor do this now, you just have to do it once. So that's part one of the Aska form. Part two is, in part two, this is the individual counselor management agreements. So this is the part that every counselor in your school needs to fill out. And oops, it's a form. Let me go back. So I'm going to download the form, and then I'll open it. And here it comes. So every counselor needs one of these. And basically, the counselor's name is here, the year coming up, so 2019-20 in this case. The professional development that the counselor plans on participating in next year, what their caseload is, what counseling activities they're responsible for providing, the professional collaboration that they do, what kind of meetings they attend, and then their individual school hours. So each counselor just needs to fill that part out. Okay, and then the last part is another download. This is the signature page, and basically, open this up here. Basically, everybody's, principals signing off that they have read all of this, and they understand, what the different reports say. And then the counselor is just saying that they have read the agreement report, and they've discussed any concerns that they have with their principal. So everybody signs off on this one form, and then that gets uploaded. So I think that'll make it a lot easier than having, everybody have to fill out the whole form. So, okay, so that is the management agreement. Again, that's an Aska thing. The assurances statement, I want to open up that. You're just going to upload that. This would be something that if you are a renewing school, you would need to re-upload for the coming year. And then if you're a first-year school, of course, you'd be doing it for the first time. So school name, these are things that we couldn't figure out any way to have you document it. So we're just asking you to tell us these things are happening. So one is that you're going to tell us that the school counseling program meets all rules and regs found within your state. Then the second thing is that all staff members who provide counseling activities, not guidance or advocacy, but just counseling, are appropriately licensed by their state as a licensed school counselor, social worker, or school psych. So again, that's not for guidance, it's just for the mental health counseling part of a counselor's job. We want to make sure that people that are doing the counseling part are licensed to counsel. Then the school counseling program is coordinated by a licensed school counselor. We know that there's a lot of schools, especially elementary schools, who may have a licensed school social worker on board. But what this is saying is that the program is reviewed by a licensed counselor, and that everything looks fine. That that people that are doing counseling are really licensed to do counseling. Just that they've looked at the goals and the activities, and it's fine. So if your school has a social worker in the elementary role, what we would suggest is that one of the counselors who is licensed as a counselor in a middle school or high school that they be the person who is looking at the goals and activities and saying, yes, this makes sense for that school's program. So, okay. Then the next one says that you follow the Aska ethical standards, that you have private office space that promotes confidentiality, and that everything that you've provided, all the documentation that you've provided through your submissions is accurate. It accurately represents your practice. Okay, so that's that one. And then that is the assurances statement. Upload a program brochure. My guess is you already have one. Just upload it. If not, this link will give you access to hundreds of school counseling brochures from different schools across the world. Public relations evidence. This is just evidence that you have told people about your school counseling program. So it may be that you've presented about your school counseling program to students on the first day of school, or to parents at an open house, or to your faculty. Or maybe you've talked about your school counseling program in the media, maybe it's through social media, through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or through a newspaper article. So just, make a copy of something that shows that you're actively involved in public relations, and just upload that. Networking evidence, the next one is just evidence that you talk with other school counselors. That could be if you're having a district-wide counselor meeting where people are networking and with each other, you just put in evidence. You could put in an email that says, all the counselors are meeting at this date. If you've ever asked a question on Counselor Talk in Indiana and gotten a response, you could just put in a copy of that email. If there's an agenda for a counselor meeting that you've attended where folks, talk to each other, you could use that as well. So lots of different ways to prove that you do networking. The next one is to present your school counseling program portfolio to your school board. So there's a couple of ways to do that. A lot of counselors at the end of RSC like to go stand in front of their school board to say, oh my gosh, we just did this, this program where we really looked at data. We brought in all the stakeholders to help us design our program, and we've come up with these priority goals, focus goals, and activities, and we just wanted to present to you what we'll be doing next year and the data targets that we have in our focus goals. So that would be, just a really quick meeting with, in front of your school board. And again, we have until between now and June 15th to get the work done. So our thinking is that's more than a month, so there should be a school board meeting in that time. The other thing you could do is to email your program to your school board to give them the heads up on what you're doing. And here's a thought for how to maybe best do that. This link gives you access to the page where you publish your portfolio. So right now, the portfolio for Demo Elementary School is not published. All I have to do is click publish, and that publishes it. If I decide I want to take it down, all I have to do is click unpublish, and it's unpublished. So when I publish it, that's going to put it on this list of published portfolios. I'm going to go ahead and open that list. Here are all the schools right now that have published their portfolios online. I'm just going to click on Brooks Elementary School, and you can see that if I were Brooks, what I would do is I would take this URL and I would send that to my school board with a little, in an email with just a little message that says, just wanted to make you aware that we participated in redesigning school counseling this year, and it involved community members in our council, and we came up with different products, and the products can be found on this page. And you might even say we came up with a vision statement, priority goals, focus goals, activities, an annual calendar, and a master plan. And then you'd give them the link to this page where they could come and they could open up these finished products. So once you get Gold Star, your little Gold Star logo will be there as well. Yeah, so that's just a really easy way. You might ask your school board, to feel free to contact you if they have questions or comments about your program. But then what you could do then, I'm going to go back to the counselor page. What you could do is on this section where you are uploading proof that you've presented to your school board, you could either upload an agenda for your school board meeting that shows that you're on the agenda, or just upload the email that you sent to your school board. Either way would work fine. Okay, that's it. Then at the very end, when you are finished with everything, you're going to let us know that you are completely finished by hitting the submit button. And that's telling us that you don't plan on making any other changes, that you are good to go for us to do a final review for Gold Star. Now, for our final review, we actually don't do a final review because all we have to do is make sure that everything says meets criteria. And my guess is we ask you don't ask us to do a final review until everything says meets criteria. So before that submission, you'd want to go back to the Foundations tab, make sure that everything says meets criteria in there. There's nothing that says needs revision or submitted. Everything says meets criteria. And the way I like to do that quick check is I just check in the submission. And, here's a submission button that should say meets criteria. Here's a submission button that should say meets criteria. So you're going to check the Foundations tab, check the Counselor tab, and when everything meets criteria, just hit submit. And then our system checks to make sure that everything meets criteria, and if it does, then you're automatically approved for Gold Star. At that point, several things happen. One is that you will get an email from DOE that says that you have received the Gold Star Award, and it'll give you instructions about what to do next in terms of doing I think there's one form that Aska needs for the RAMP Award, and then it tells you when you will be presented your award. So you get that email from DOE, and then also your school's name will appear here on the list of completers. So I can look down. We have schools right now from these cohorts that are going through RSC right now. So as soon as you meet criteria on all submissions, your school's name will appear here. So, okay, I think that's it. I'm going to pause real quickly to see if there are questions, and if not, we'll close. So I'm opening up the questions, and I am not seeing any. So, okay. So wonderful. It has been really a pleasure to work with you all this year. I know this is a lot of work, and especially now at the end of the school year, to do these remaining tasks is kind of a challenge, but you guys have really stepped up, and I'm really proud to be associated with you and your schools. And I mean, you really have gone the extra mile for your kids. And we know that this is not a simple process. It's extremely time consuming because it's data driven and because you involve so many people in the discussions. But we think it's really good work, and we really look forward to next year. Next year we'll be on the evaluation tab, and we'll come down and we'll look at reports that tell us what percentage of the activities that you had planned to implement next year actually got implemented, and then you'll be able to enter a focus goal analysis where the computer will pop in your focus goals and then your baseline data from this year and then your follow-up data from next year, and you'll be able to assess real quickly whether or not you met your goals and then know if you need to make some decisions. That's an annual activity that is available to you for your annual meeting with your councils. So, okay, I think that's it. Everybody have wonderful summers, and feel free, as always, to call us if you need help with a step or if you have a question about something that we've said either today or in your submission reviews. So, okay, thanks, everyone. Good luck, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.